Honorable Minister Khumbuzo Ntshevheni. Good afternoon, Minister. The Minister is joined on her immediate right by the Deputy Minister, Mr. Phili Mapulane. Greetings, Deputy Minister. They are also joined by the Acting Director General in the department, Ms. Nonkubela Jordan. Greetings, Acting DG. We also have in our presence one of the members of the panel here, who is Mr. Teboho Lishoka. He is the project manager in relation to the business of today here. His day job, he is the COO, the Chief Operations Officer at Centec, which is one of the entities that fall or report to the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies. As I indicated, the Minister is going to address all of us here. The Minister is going to address those who are listening on radio, those who are following us on the online platforms, as well as those who are watching on television. The proceedings are going to follow a normal routine in the context of the work that we do as government. The Minister is going to address the nation, after which we are going to allow members of the media to ask questions, and the Minister is going to direct how those questions are going to be answered. I think it is a simple process. Minister, it is a business of today for us to address the nation, to take the nation into the government's confidence in terms of the work that we do. And I am going to hand over to you, Minister, to address the nation.
Thank you, Tlali, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to all South Africans. I have to apologize for the slight delay. We were scheduled to start at 4 o'clock. However, the President had been opening the SADC Troika meeting, and we had to change the rescheduling so that we allowed that session to take place, which was initially planned to take place in the morning. With that, we are doing a briefing on the digital migration and analog switch-off plan of the country. I'll start by giving the context of this and like to remind South Africans that South Africa is a member of the International Telecommunications Union, commonly known as the ITU, which is a United Nations body on telecommunications, and South Africa is a member of Region 1 of the ITU with other African countries. In 2006, South Africa acceded to the ITU Regional Agreement in Geneva 2006, commonly known as GE06, that determined that Region 1 countries must migrate from analog television to digital television by the 17th of June 2015. The Digital Terrestrial Television, commonly known as DTT migration process, is a global technology enhancement initiative that aims to leapfrog countries into digital domains, targeting to improve quality of services and enable efficient use of spectrum resources. As a country, we initially aimed to complete the migration process in 2011 in what we termed a policy date, but the program suffered serious setbacks during the technology negotiation process. South Africans will recall the discussion of whether it's encrypted or non-encrypted. At this point, we remained within the ITU set date for Region 1 of June 2015, although we had missed the 2011 policy set date for our country. However, the country also missed the date of June 2015, and furthermore did not seek exemption at the 2015 World Radio Communications Conference, commonly known as the WRC 15, and thus South Africa did not qualify for another extension after missing the June 2015 migration deadline. What this means in simple English is that the only migration date for South Africa is June 2015, 17th June 2015. During the 21 State of the Nation address, His Excellency President Ramaphosa announced that South Africa must complete the broadcast digital migration by 31st March 2022. This is the goal date that the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies is working hard to ensure that it is met through the implementation of the digital migration plan that was approved by Cabinet at this sitting of the 29th September 2021. Progress status of the Broadcast Digital Migration Program, which we commonly call BDM. The government undertook to assist beneficiary households, that these are households earning total salary of less than 3,500 per month, with installation of set-top boxes to ensure universal migration. The process of registering beneficiary households to be supported commenced in 2015, and to date, only 1.184 million qualifying households have been registered out of the estimated 3.75 million qualifying households. The estimation is based on Stats SA 2018 data. Since the inception of the BDM program, 556,954 households have been migrated from the current total of 1.184 million. In addition, almost 10.5 million households out of just 14 million TV households, as per the Stats SA estimates, self-migrated through private satellite boxes as follows. DSTV, those who migrated through DSTV, it's estimated at 7.8 million households using the latest DSTV data. OpenView HD, those migrated through that process is 2.3 million households, and StarSat 450,000 households. My apologies, always thinking of money. To date, Centec has been able to switch off 84 sites, all 84 sites of multi-choice analog transmissions, which amounts to 100% switch off on multi-choice CNS sites. And out of the 288 sites of the SABC, Centec has switched off 105 sites as SABC analog transmissions, which translates to 37%. And out of the 95 sites of ETV, Centec has switched off 4 sites, which translates to 4% of the ETV analog transmissions. And we had then to revise the plan, and I'll take you through at a high level on what are the tenets of the revised plan that was approved by Cabinet. Cabinet has approved the adoption of a managed integrated model that actively involves all broadcast media players to contribute to ramp up the set-top box installation capacity through their use of the boxes, of the boxes of these players to ensure rapid reach. The broadcasters and Centec will continue to use local installers as per the SMME development. The department has started engagements with industry players and enterprise development entities, including funders, on additional opportunities and enterprise development support that could be made available to these installers, amongst others, as we make sure they become sustainable business, and will use them, of course, in the age of Internet of Things and connectivity. And that's why we are committed to make sure that their business opportunities are enhanced and expanded. And in terms of the media players that we have partnered with, in terms of the integrated, managed integrated model, it's multi-choice through DSTV, it's ETV through OpenView, it's StarSat, and also Telkom through their mobile one, and also the SABC. We have shifted from staggered provincial approach towards a consolidated national approach, where set-top box installations and analog switch-off will happen simultaneously in all provinces of South Africa. Although we anticipate different completion and migration dates according to our plan, and we are anticipating the following completion dates. Previously, you will recall that we were saying we'll switch off this province, switch off this province, or install this province complete and move on to the other. Now we are installing in all the provinces simultaneously, but we are anticipating different completion dates, and as we complete, we'll switch off. In terms of the plan, we're anticipating that Free State will be switched off a bit towards the end of October, latest first week of November, because we only have one site that is remaining in the Free State to be switched off. And in terms of the Northern Cape, we are anticipating that we should be able to switch off between mid-November and November, because we have 11 sites that we have to switch off in the Northern Cape. And Northwest, we've got 15 sites to switch off. We are anticipating that we should be able to switch off either in the first week or second week of December if we're late. And Mpumalanga, we're anticipating a switch off of towards end of December, first week of January if we are late. And in Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal and Western Cape, we are anticipating that we should be able to switch off end of January, including Gauteng. We are anticipating to be able to switch off end of January. In terms of Limpopo, we are also anticipating to switch them off either end of December if we are late, first week of January. And we'll come back and report on the progress with the switch off. What must members of the public do to migrate? To give effect to a successful digital migration and analog switch-off processes, we have to ensure that everyone who needs to migrate from analog to digital is ready to do so and are not negatively affected by the switch over from analog to digital. The analog switch-off messages will scroll on all analog TVs with dates. Please ensure that you migrate before the set dates to continue receiving television services. South African citizens who are still receiving television services directly from an aerial or antenna that get mounted on a pole and do not have a set-top box or a smart TV set should find themselves a set-top box or a smart TV to be able to receive digital television. A set-top box is a device that enables you to receive digital television services, and they can be accessed from the South African Post Office and various retailers across the country. You will not be affected by analog switch off if you are already receiving your television through DSTV or VHD, commonly known as OpenView, Telkom One, StarSat, and any other streaming platforms, or if you have a digital TV. Digital televisions that have inbuilt digital tuners are able to receive DTT. Manufacturing of digital televisions commenced as early as 2010, and we are aware that majority of television sets manufactured and distributed after 2015 have digital tuners. To test if your TV has a digital tuner, please run a manual or auto channel search on your TV without using when you have disconnected from your subscription boxes. Whether you are on OpenView or you're on multi-choice or on StarSat, you disconnect, or you are using or even the government set-top box, you disconnect from it and run a tuner connected to an area. If your tuner will be able to pick the TV channels. That will only happen when we have already switched off. Currently, you are still able to receive your channels as normal, and you can use your tuners to even improve the definition of the quality of your pictures. We also have a list of all compatible digital TVs from Samsung, LG, Hisense, and Skyworth. We are continuing to engage other manufacturers of TV sets and will publish compatible TV sets lists as from Monday, 11 October 2021 on various entities' websites, including the SA government website, the DCDT, which is the Department of Communications and Digital Technology website, Centec, USASA, SABC, CETA, and SAPO, and the Digital Migration Call Center, which contact details will be shared within the month of October 2021. In terms of households qualifying for support, given the low numbers of registered beneficiary households, you recall I indicated we have 1.1 that registered over a period of 7 years. Cabinet approved a last call for registration with a cut-off date of 31 October 2021. This last call is also made fully aware of the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on household incomes. In terms of this call, the qualifying households who register on or before 31st October 2021 will be connected before the analog switch off. And secondly, the households that register in case of doubting Thomases after the 31st October 2021 will only be connected within 3 to 6 months after the analog switch off. We call upon all eligible households to register at the nearest post office on or before the 31st October 2021 to receive government assistance for your set-top box installation. We are also finalizing a registration app, and the details will be announced in the near future. What are the benefits of digital migration? We have to fulfill our obligations to the ITU to give effect to efficient use of spectrum, improve media quality of service, and grant South Africans a developmental opportunity. But digital migration will also mean improved quality, because digital television pictures are clearer and there will be no more snowy pictures. My mother will call it manzaranzara. And the digital television will offer you improved free-to-air services. For instance, we have more channels compared to the current 4 channels on analog, which are SABC 1, 2, and 3, and ETV. On a free-to-air, you will be able to receive 12 television channels on DTT. Those of you who are not a subscriber or subscription or pay TV, you should be able to receive SABC Sport on the DTT platform, SABC Education, SABC Anchor, for example, which currently you can't receive unless you have subscribed to a pay TV channel. But on digital migration, you should be able to receive that for free. And also on the public bouquet services, will allow South Africans to receive all 19 SABC radio on DTT, irrespective of where you are in South Africa, which is not currently possible on analog technology. For instance, those who listen to Ukhozi FM, we cannot receive the transmission when they are in Mbembe, Limpopo, if they want to listen to that channel. But through DTT, you will be able to switch on your TV and tune to Ukhozi FM and listen to Ukhozi FM from every part of the country, or Para FM from every part of the country, or Mngana Lonene from any part of the country, or Lisedi, or any other station that you choose to listen to of the SABC. That always brings you the latest news and developments in the country. And also, those who are on pay TV, there will be improved pay and subscription services. Compared to previous 2 channels on analog pay TV, which are Mnet and CSN, you can now receive 14 channels on pay DTT, which is currently not possible. To ensure, except for those who have subscribed to MultiChoice, because MultiChoice has migrated, you are able on what do they call that? Is it what go of MultiChoice? I forgot. I'm an SABC person. You'll have to pardon me. The Go Digital platform of MultiChoice, but I'm mostly an SABC person as the shareholder of the public broadcaster. So you are able to watch eTunes and all those other channels that young kids want to watch, but also the other channels that gets available from MultiChoice, that they will give you plenty of those channels. To ensure that this plan is executed, and the problem has always been execution, I have established a project steering committee, which is constituted by CEOs and technology executives of all affected and participating stakeholders. The steering committee is chaired by the minister and meets on a fortnightly basis to lead the switchover process. I've also appointed a project manager to oversee the digital migration and analog switch-off process. And the project manager is Mr. Ntshevheni Lishope, the current COO of Centec, and he's the project manager. Just a brief background about him. Majority of the African countries that have migrated were assisted by Mr. Lishope to migrate. So we are in safe hands. And it has never been that we don't have the capacity to migrate. It has been other things that have stalled our migration. In terms of the technical skills to see us through the migration, we have the technical skills within the countries to ensure the migration takes place. We will also report to the cabinet on a monthly basis and update the nation about the progress at least once a month. Thank you, but I want to, for the sake of those who are listening on radio in vernacular languages, I'd like to just read the some of the components that deal with members of the public in the few languages, vernacular languages that I'm able to speak. Rika mafhungo ori shango live kha bona TV nga analog liyo bona nga zwine nga technology bare ndi digital. Uri muṅwe na muṅwe a kono u vhona kha digital. Muvhuso wo itela uri havha vha sa kona u ḓi rengela dzi TV dza u ḓura kana vha sa kona u ḓi rengela dzi boxes dzo no pfi dzi set-top boxes, muvhuso u ḓo vha thusa uri vha wane dzi set-top boxes kana ri vha dzhenisele dzi set-top boxes uri vha kone u vhona TV dzavho nga digital, ngori ndi mushumo wa muvhuso uri vha kone u vhona TV dzavho nga digital. Mara arali vha na TV yene ya shumisa aerial, ara vha sa qualify ngori una miḓi ine ra ḓo i supporta yo no qualify rine ra ḓo amba ngayo sikale. Ara vha na TV yo no shumisa aerial hedziḽa dza kale, arali i sa thuvha i kha ḓivha ya analog yo dzulaho kale ra tshi vhea kha dzi thanda ya hengwa nṱha ha nnḓu, ri khou humbula vha yo ḓiwanela set-top box yavho kana vha yo renga smart TV dzo ṅwaliwa pfi dzi smart TV. vha dzi wana mashoponi oṱhe, vhaṅwe vha nga dzi wana na hasapo. Arali vha tshi khou ṱoḓa uri vha singo, arali vho no vha tshi shumisa DSTV, OpenView, Telkom 1 na Starset, a vha nga kwamei nga analog switch off, kana a vha nga bone tshumelo yavho ya television a i nga ḓo kwamea. Kana arali vha na TV dzo no pfhi ndi dzi smart TV, na i vhone tshumelo yavho a i nga kwamei. Ri a zwi ḓivha zwo ri u bva nga 2010 vhamagi vhanzhi vha dzi television vha tshi khou maga dzi television dzo no vha na dzi digital tuners, kana dzi no pfhi ndi dzi LED TVs. So muḓini wavho arali vha tshi khou ngo tsheka uri TV yavho i ya shuma, ri ḓo vha vhudza zwo vha funa ita mini. Ri a zwo nga u bva nga 2015 u swika zwino dzi TV dzo no khou ḓa nnzhi ndi TV dzi no vha ntswa dzi no kona u ita vha vhe kha DTT vhone vhaṋe vha songo shumisa na bogisi, ndi mafhungo o tuna fhedzi. Ri na mitevhe kana list ya dzi TV dza mifudafuda dza LG, dza Samsung, Hisense na Skyworth dzine dza tenda u vha na DTT dzi songo ṱoḓa na set-top box, kana dzi songo ṱoḓa na uri vha ye kha figure ha multi choice kana OpenView kana Starset kana kha Telkom 1 nga TV yavho fhedzi vha kona u ita. Ri kha ḓi amba na vhaṅwe vha magi vha dzi TV uri ri kone u finalize mitevhe edzo dzi TV dzi no comply dzine dza sa ṱoḓe set-top box. Nga musumbuluwo wa dzi 11 dza October ri ḓo anḓadza kha dzi website dza muvhuso, kha website ya muvhuso muhulwane, kha website ya muhasho wa muhasho wa communication na digital technologies, ine ya website ya ri dcdt.gov.za, Sentech, USASA, SABC, SITA na SAPO. Mitevhe ya dzi TV dza mifudafuda dzine dza kona u vhona DTT vha singo ṱoḓa set-top box. Ri ḓo dovha ra anḓadza na nomboro ya call center ya digital migration ne vha nga founela yone arali vha tshi khou ṱoḓa thuso ya digital migration before ṅwedzi hoyu wa October u tshi fhela. Miṱa yo no qualify u supportiwa nga muvhuso u wana digital TV yavho, ngauri ro registera u bva nga 2015 ro thoma mushumo wo ṅwalisa miṱa yo no funa u thusiwa, heneo pfi beneficiary households. Ro tevhela mulanga wa muvhuso wo ri miḓi yo no hola muholo u sa fhiri 3500 nga ṅwedzi vho ngo angaredza vha funa u thusiwa nga muvhuso uri vha vhe na vha kone u migrate vhone. Ro thoma anḓadzo ya u registera nga 2015, mara nomboro dze ra dzi wana ndi only 1.1 million dzine dza vha ṱhukhu kha dzi nomboro dze ra angaredza dza uri angaredza dza uri 3.7 million. So ro ri cabinet i tende uri ri vule habe u apply kana u ḓiṅwalisa uri vha wane thuso ya muvhuso arali muṱa woṱhe wo ngo angaredza u tshi hola muholo wa fhasi ha 3500 vha ḓiṅwalise posoni yavho ya tsini nga dzi 31 dza October 2021. Ri ḓo dovha ra ḓisa na contact na app yene a ḓo vha thusa u ḓiṅwalisa ngayo. Ri a zwi ḓivha na zwo ri COVID-19 pandemic heḽi dwadze ḽihulu ḽo faraho ḽifhasi ḽoṱhe ḽo ita uri miḓi minzhi i xelelwe nga mishumo. I tshi khou xelelwa nga mishumo zwa amba uri vhathu vhanzhi a vha tsha kona u ḓibadelela vha funa u thuswa nga muvhuso. Ri khombela miṱa ine yo raloyo vha yo ḓiṅwalisa posoni ya tsini na havho kana nga app ine ra ḓo i ḓisa khavho. Miḓi yo no qualifya ndi hela yene ra khou ri ya ḓiṅwalisa nga dzi 31 kana before dzi 31 dza October ri ḓo vha connecta kha set-top box before ri tshi switcha off kana before ri tshi tsima tshumelo dza TV nga nḓila ine ra khou dzi vhona zwino. Mara arali vha ḓiṅwalisa ngori hu na vho Thomas Matenda nga u vhona vha ḓiṅwalisa nga murahu ha dzi 31 dza October 2021 ri ḓo vha connecta miṅwedzi miraru kana ya rathi after ro no tsima tshumelo dza TV hezwi zwine zwa khou vhonala ngayo. Ri khou humbela kana ri khou huwelela kha miṱa yoṱhe yo no qualify thuso uri kha vha ḓe vha thusiwe before ri tshi dzi 31 vha ḓiṅwalise before dzi 31 dza October 2021. Heyi digital migration i ri thusa nga mini? Hela TV ine mianga vha ri ndi manzaranzara i tshi vhonisa i ḓovha i si tsha vha hone, tshifanyiso tsha hone tshi a vha khwine nga maanḓa, tshi a vhonala nga maanḓa. Mara na kha heyi dzine ra ri ndi free to air zwine zwa nga dzi SABC hu ḓovha na channel nnzhi zwino vha vhona channel nṋa kha free to air, mara ro no migrate kha digital vha ḓo kona u vhona channel dza 12 zwine zwa amba vha ri 12 zwine zwa amba uri vhone vha songo badelaho dzi subscription vha ḓo kona u vhona SABC News, SABC Sport, SABC Anchor. Zwino a vha koni zwi vhona, vha zwi vhona fhedzi vho badela hangei yavho multi choice kana vho Starset uri vha zwi vhone, kana vho ya kha mobile TV uri vha zwi vhone. Na kha havhaḽa kha dzi radio zwino vha fara tshiṱitshi tsha Phalaphala vha hanefho hayani Venḓa, kana kha Mungana vha Mupani kana Giyani, vha fara Thovela vha Hasikhukhune kana Hadigale, kana huṅwe hu na huṅwe dzi sa swiki. Mara ro no migrate ra ya kha digital TV, zwi amba uri vhone vha ḓo kona u ya u fara tshiṱitshi tshavho tsha radio na musi vha ya Cape Town vha tshi bva Vhembe, Thohoyandou, bus kana vha tshi bva Tshikunda Maleme, vha ḓo kona u thetshelesa Mungana yone Mungana lonene, kana Phala hu ḓo ḓi bvuma Phalaphala FM misi yoṱhe. Na havhaḽa vhone vha vha kha pay TV nga mulayo uri vha na channel mbili fhedzi, ndi Mnet na CNS, mara ho no vha na digital migration vha ḓo kona u vha na dzi channel dza 14. Ndi hezwo zwine ra khou amba zwone, ndi zwine ra khou ṱoḓa u ḓivhadza vhathu. Ndi ḓo ita dziṅwe, I'll then take the other languages in Sitsonga, Sepedi and some Zulu. I'll take them offline. We'll take the questions. The technical questions will be directed to the project manager. Thank you for this opportunity.
Ka utlwa minister a hlile a re phepeditse. Minister or phepeditse. Minister, wa ena naha mmuso o e kalla mmoho le setjhaba. Ena phatlalatso e entsweng ke letona kajeno ke e bontshang hantle hore wa ena naha mmuso o ikemiseditse ho ntlafatsa maemo a bophelo ba Maafrika Borwa kaofela. Ena ke ntlafatso ya ditshebeletso tsa motheo. Minister, thank you for the address. Somebody says, if you know your stakeholders, you have the ability to anticipate their needs. It's one of the things that you must be able to do. To our colleagues, members of the media, those who are here in attendance and those who are connecting with us through online platforms, please be assured that we are going to share the media statement with you. We appreciate that it is an important point of reference that will enable you to ask certain questions. However, we are also aware that you took advantage of having a pen and a paper with you, and you have noted down certain questions which you are presenting through the online channel with us. We appreciate your cooperation in this regard. Some important numbers. 1.184 million, when we expect 3.7 million. I think, Minister, if we work together, working together with our communities, we can make this happen to realize the benefits that you have alluded to. Without wasting any further time, I am now going to request one of my colleagues, Takalani or Ignatius, to assist us with any comments, especially questions that may be coming. You need to ask a question, ma'am? Noted. So before we get to that, I will ask Takalani and Ignatius to be on standby so that we are able to take questions that may be coming from the media via our online platforms. This is how we are going to do it for those reporters that are in here with us. Please identify yourself and the media house you represent and put the question to the minister, the minister will exercise the discretion as to whether she is going to respond to the question or to redirect or delegate to members of the panel who are here. I think that is in order. It is a simple request. We are going to stick to that. Madam?
Afternoon, Minister. My name is Tando Mayeko from Business Day. Please explain the move to halt the staggered approach from provincial to national, and whether this move would require any additional funds.
Thank you. Is there any other reporter present here who would like to put question or questions to the minister, by extension to the panel? I see no such indication. Perhaps I should ask Takalani to read out few questions so that we club them together. We take a group of questions at a time. I'm mindful not to say round. Group of questions at a time, and then we'll come to the second group of questions. Takalani?
Thank you, Program Director. The questions that I would like to present now in the first batch are coming from Ntshevheni from Capital Life SA. And his first question is the digital migration on a later stage going to affect satellite or analog radio stations also? And said, if that is the case, what is going to happen with community radio stations and community TV stations that are not part of multi-choice or open view? And his last question is the set-top box a data-free device, also on a smart TV? Is this migration not going to need data in order to watch TV? As I heard Minister saying it's free, and do we need data to activate the app if there's any on a smart TV, and how does this work on a smart TV? Back to you, Program Director. Thanks.
Thank you. As the minister prepares to respond to these questions or direct members of the panel to respond to it, one of the questions that came through was whether, Minister, when we say digital television, is that a synonym of smart television? I'll leave it to you. We need to use the simplest of languages so that members of the public understand these things, Minister. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you. I'll only respond to the easy ones, and the project manager, Mr. Tebo Lishope, will deal with the difficult ones. There was a question from Business Day that we must explain the shift from provincial to national approach. The problem with the provincial approach is that before you complete a province, you could not move to the next one. And that meant that you had unnecessary delays, whereas there would have been a province that is ready, which you could have concluded quicker. So we've been, if you recall, if we indicated, we've been stuck on Free State, Northwest, and Northern Cape because those were the priority province. But if we had started with, like now we want to do everybody, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Gauteng, everywhere, we're going to use everybody. It's all hands on deck, so that we are not stuck on one province where maybe the number of applicants who want to move is lower, and whereas the other province could move. So we are able to move quicker because the more people we connect and the more we can switch off. That's the shift from the provincial to the national approach. In terms of funding, it doesn't change anything. What will change is if the additional numbers that we've spoken about, if majority of South Africans who did not apply previously heed the call for the 31st of October to apply, that number, the funding may change, but we think within the kitty we've got enough to cover the numbers that will come up. And we also anticipate the doubting Thomases to say when the switch-offs take place, a large number will come through. That's why we've given ourselves a period of 3 to 6 months to allow both the budgetary process, the adjustment budget process, because National Treasury must then fund those processes, but it must form part of the national planning cycle. Depending on the numbers, the increase of the numbers that will reach in on the 31st of October, which will brief the nation to say what is the additional registration numbers, we will be able to anticipate the additional numbers that we can plan for now in terms of the next cycle of the budgeting process to allow to cater for the doubting Thomases or the ones who will come later after the 31st of October. But in essence, we also believe that the prevalence of smart TVs, not only smart TVs, but LED TVs, the digital TVs, in the country, the penetration is quite large, though because analog technology does not give us the ability to trace to the household. We'll be able to do that with digital television and DTT. We should be able to trace to the household how many are watching on DTT. But analog is what we call in technology dumb technology. We cannot be able to trace, so we can only work on anticipation. But we are of the view that if people have been buying TVs from 2010, even earlier, those who bought the earlier LEDs, the plasma TVs and whatever with inbuilt tuners, we should have enough numbers in the country that have switched on. And the issue is to educate them or make them aware of how they can self-switch over on the next side. To the next site. So that's where we are. In terms of the questions from Capital Life, in terms of the shift to on radio, yes, ICASA is finalizing the radio migration frequency plan, which they will provide to the minister. I'm anticipating to receive that. I think they've committed to 31st of October, but we are going to give them additional 7 days just in case of, because they've been busy with the spectrum matters. So the ICASA will table that and they'll consult with the minister, will then publish for consultation and the process. I like the question around the community media, because even now when we're discussing about the changes, the amendments we need to take to cabinet to allow both community TV and community radio to participate on the DTT frequencies, which is the amendments we need to do on the ECA to allow those participation, because the current ECA is very, not only outdated, but in terms of technology is very backward. It says the community TV or community radio must be restricted to a region or to a province, whereas streaming services can be viewed across. I'm sure you all watch KZN TV, KZN TV, Pay TV on Pay TV, on multi-choice platform. We would prefer you to watch those on a public free-to-air platform of DTT. So we'll work together with the MDDA, the regulator, and ourselves to make sure that we move with technology and that the laws of the country are not keeping the country backwards, but they are assisting in moving the country forward. So that when we do that, we are required to bring it out for public consultation. We'll check with the legal advisors whether we can have a truncated process, or check with the parliament whether they can have a fast-track process to improve those amendments so that community media is not left behind. What's important with that is that when we started the Media Diversity and Development Agency, it was to introduce media diversity but not restrict our media, community media, to locals or to ordinary people, because the stories of Limpopo are of interest to people of Northwest as well, and the stories of Mpumalanga and the stories of Northwest are equally of interest to the people of Limpopo. And media diversity can only happen if our people, including the private commercial media like your Power, your Kaya, and everybody else, can participate, and Soweto TV can participate at a national level. And DTT gives us that opportunity, and we'll do our part to amend the legislation. The technical questions around the TV sets will be taken by the project manager. Thank you.
Greetings to your colleagues and viewers at home. I will be dealing with the questions raised by Capital Life in terms of whether the digital migration affects services that are on satellite. The straight answer is no. If you are on satellite receiving services through DSTV platform, OVHD platform, StarSat platform, Telcom One platform, you will not be affected by the digital migration process. It is only the viewers that are receiving their services through an outside outdoor aerial that you plug directly into the old the type of arrangement. So if you think of it, if you're on satellite, you have already migrated and you are receiving digital services, so you will not be affected by the digital migration and analog switch off. And then the second part of it was whether the community broadcasters would have an opportunity to participate, or is there capacity for them. The public multiplex, or the bouquet itself, allows for accommodation of community broadcasting. 90% of it is allocated to the SABC, 10% of it to community broadcasting. So the incumbent community broadcasters have been provided capacity to be on that particular multiplex. So they do have an opportunity to participate there. And then the second question is whether you will require data to receive services on that DTT set-top box. The set-top box, from a free-to-air point of view, it is free in a true sense of free. You do not require any data. You do not require any subscription fee per month from a free-to-air point of view. Once you receive the installation of the set-top box, you are able to enjoy the services on that box without a monthly recurring fee or paying any data to receive those services. If you choose to subscribe to a pay TV bouquet, which is a GoTV digital on DTT from MultiChoice, there is a subscription fee on which its details is with MultiChoice. You could follow up with them and check there. But the free-to-air are free in a true sense of free-to-air services there. Thank you.
The digital TV and the smart TV.
Okay. Yes, the digital TV and a smart TV. A TV is defined smart because it can do more things. That's just where the sense of smart is coming from. So if your TV can do an IP, integrated digital tuner, that's where the sense of terminology smartness come from. So you could look at it in a sense that it is really the same thing, but they evolve further. The more features it has, the more smarter it gets. But in a sense summary of what a digital TV can do, the same aerial that you have, that you are using to receive analog services now, when you plug it at the back of a digital TV, you are able to do auto-tune and you are able to receive digital services without having to install a set-top box. Thank you.
Thank you for educating us, Mr. Leshope. Le bontshime jwalo ka rona tjena se re tseba phapang pakeng tsa a digital television and a smart TV. We are going to Takalani. Do we have any more questions from our colleagues who are on the online platforms?
Definitely, we do have a few questions. If maybe perhaps if I can try and we can finish this one because we don't have any other questions apart from the one that we have right now. And we have Gay Davis from EWN, and the question is how many set-top boxes are currently in storage, and how many does the minister expect will be required now that digital TVs are so much more common, and what will happen to the surplus, and how much money has been lost in this long delayed process. And we have two questions from Loni from Bloomberg. And Loni is asking the update on the final digital migration date for all provinces. And it's also saying, and is that timing in line with the spectrum auction? And the last question from Loni is also, with South African government using social media a lot, more in its communication, like we are seeing today with this briefing. What does it mean when services like Facebook and WhatsApp go down all at once? Does South Africa have enough different platforms to communicate on when things like this happen? And does the South African government believe additional regulations could be needed when it comes to social media platforms? And the last question is from Thomas Litova from Kasi Voice News, who said in Free State, set-top boxes are faulty. They only lasted for a short period of time, and majority of residents had to opt for other paid digital transmitters. And the question is, does the government really invest in quality over quantity? Thank you very much, Program Director. Back to you. Those were the questions that we had today. Yeah, no, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Takalani.
Maybe before we get the responses, Gay is asking if we can have full name of the project manager. Thank you.
The full name of the project manager, he is Mr. Ntshevheni Lishope. Surname Leshope. That is the surname. I am going to hand over to the minister, or the minister to direct how these questions, the set of questions that we have received, should be answered. Maybe I should check with a colleague present in here. She's covered. Thank you so much. The project manager will start.
Thank you very much for the questions, colleagues. I will start with the last one by Thomas from Kasi. Set-top boxes that goes faulty and only lasts for a very short period of time. Yes, there are some that will go faulty. We're in the process of establishing a model to handle that. We have established a process of the aftermarket support, wherein, Thomas, we would like you to report these boxes to the aftermarket support. The boxes warranties are normally a year. So if your box and installations goes faulty within that period, that box and the installation can be repaired. Whether government invest in quality over quantity, yes, the set-top box is designed within the specifications of the standards of Bureau of South Africa. It is type approved by ICASA and conforms to the good quality of set-top boxes. We do appreciate that sometimes there are infant challenges when the process gets established, so we need to deal with those through the aftermarket support. So Thomas, if you could bring your issues through that process, we will appreciate. And then the other question was how many more set-top boxes are in storage? The ADG will deal with that. I'll deal with the other question in terms of whether we are diverse enough to handle the issues related to outages of services. I think colleagues are taking it from last night outages. Yes, as South Africa, we have radio, which is being broadcasted independently on a different platform. We also have television, which is being broadcasted differently on an independent platform, via terrestrial, through the towers across the country, and via satellite. So in terms of alternatives for media solutions and media reach, we are diverse. If you lose TV, you can get radio. If you lose TV on satellite, you can get it on terrestrial. If you lose TV on terrestrial, you can get it on satellite. And this, of course, evolves with times to incorporate the social media opportunities to widen the mediums that can be used to reach our people there. The final switch off date, you will talk to that, Minister. Okay, thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'd like to answer the question that was posed online by Gay Davis as well as the others in terms of the set-top boxes. Currently, we have 840,000 set-top boxes in storage that government had procured, and as Mr. Le Shope indicated that these were procured according to the standards. Of those 840, we are currently rolling out installations in Free State, Northern Cape, and Northwest. So it would be just a little bit less than the 840 installations or set-top boxes that are available. I think that's. I'll hand over to the Minister.
Thank you. There are some few things that as a policymaker you need to make statements on. We accept that there are enough, or there's a penetration of digital TVs in the country. That's why we took a decision that we're not procuring additional set-top boxes ourselves. Those who will procure additional set-top boxes are our partners, your DSTV, your ETV, your Telkom, your Starsat, because they have to help us with the rollout. But that's why we've started to communicate how those who have digital television must then migrate, because we believe that majority of South Africans are already sitting with the most appropriate TVs, and that's why it may explain the numbers that are not coming through for registration. So we'll continue to educate our people, not only about set-top boxes, but about digital televisions. We are also going to go to Cabinet with a policy proposal, like what happens in Europe, around the TVs that must come into the country as a standard. We are working on that. We have set ourselves a target that by November we'll go out and will be required to public participate that. So we'll come here and communicate the TV, I'm lacking a better word, the TV standards that must be applied in this country as it has been done in Europe, in Western countries, and everywhere else, so that we don't become a dumping ground for analog TVs, whereas we have migrated and our people do not suffer. I want to also clear the issue around the Facebook, Twitter, and and WhatsApp, the Facebook family collapse yesterday. It was not on the South African side, it was global. But imagine, I know there's radio, there's TV, there's other social media platforms. Imagine if South Africa had, because yesterday I was saying to myself, imagine, and I'm part of the generation of Mixit. Imagine if South Africa had built its Mixit and supported it. Imagine if South Africa supports another young person or other many young people to develop social media platforms that we use. We would not have been affected, and the question will not arise. And for me, in the age of digital technology, in the age of the digital economy and everything gone digital, it's time that as South Africans we start creating our own platforms and supporting our own, and we are going to make the necessary announcement. We are working with CETA on how government will support with Department of Science and Innovation and the CSIR and other innovation bodies and Technology Innovation Agency on how we are going to propel young South Africans or enterprising South Africans to bring their own platforms that will support as the opportunity is here, because we can't continue to be dependent on the West for our technological environment. We must drive our own technological environment. And the other question that I need to respond to in terms of what has been sent on WhatsApp, it's the
final date.
The final date, whether the date is aligned to spectrum. For context, I want to emphasize this, that when the digital migration program was initiated in 2005, and it was not to drive the auction of spectrum. South Africa has to complete its digital migration as part of its commitment to the ITU. And the benefit of freeing the spectrum dividend, it's part of that benefit, and that's what we are going to use. But to date, we're in the age of spectrum. We need to migrate and make sure that 5G spectrum is available and other spectrum is used effectively for as a prime resource for the development of this country. Because in other continents, here we're talking about mobile spectrum. In other continents, in fact, in the digital economy, we have to talk about spectrum for production, we have to talk about spectrum for broadcasting, we have to talk about spectrum for services. Because whatever we do in other countries, I know a country, I think Germany, they've given spectrum not to mobile operators, but to automotive operators, Mercedes-Benz and BMW. They are the ones operating. Here in our country, in Roslyn, the Roslyn plant of BMW, it's 75% done by robotics because they're using spectrum. And that's the value of that spectrum. It improves efficiency of production, which means we must also talk about the digital skills that our training must have to deal with. So the program that we are chasing, the final date is the date that was announced by the president on SONA, which is our goal date, because the date for migration remains the 17th of June 2015 as per the ITU directive. There's no new date, but the president has given me as the minister a target, and the team that I work with, a target to say we must complete by the 31st of March. And as we do that, we must keep in mind that our neighbors, and Mozambique I think is the last one, that are completing the migration, and we are going to be in trouble if we don't migrate effectively. I'm sure at another point, because now we have exhausted our time to be here, Mr. Ntshevheni will explain what we talk about unprotected frequencies, because that's where we are sitting with. Because if any neighboring country wants to use their spectrum and there's interference, we are going to have to switch off. Out of the 9 provinces, we've got 7 provinces that are directly neighboring another country in this country of ours, and the 2 provinces that are not neighboring, they will also interfere with the other provinces that will interfere. So we have to switch off. So switch off is non-negotiable, and indeed we need to switch off across, not only on a particular frequencies, but across the broadcast analog frequencies, so that we can avail the much sought 5G spectrum for the country, not for mobile, but for production, for services, and also to get our SMMEs to participate. We are going on a later date when ICASA is rounding up the hybrid spectrum process. We are going to issue a policy guideline of how South Africa is going to migrate to move towards 5G spectrum use, full 5G spectrum use, including the millimeter waves. But also we are going to prepare this country for 6 and 7G spectrum in the shortest future, and we are going to brief the nation. We'd like to thank you for the opportunity and the time you spent with us. We want to remind South Africans that we need to vaccinate as part of reopening the economy and getting all of us safe and operate on the new normal. But the new normal must mean digital inclusivity, and digital migration gets us to digital inclusivity. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening. What's your email address?
Thank you, Minister. You end on an interesting teaser note, and I thought the program manager was going to unpack that point. You have invited Minister has invited interference into your time. Because those